Okay, so I want to give some brief data about our native plant study, which is separate from me going around and collecting bees from Portland area gardens. My graduate student, Erin Anderson, and another undergraduate, Lucas Costner, who actually is related to Kevin Costner, managed this study in Aurora, where they have 1 meter square plots of about 20 different Willamette Valley native plants. And then we chose 4 non-native comparators, which are known to be highly attractive to bees, all in the Lamiaceae, so that's kind of a study shortcoming. But everyone always says lavender, salvia, catmint, and oregano. Those always appear on bee-friendly lists, so we wanted to see how the Willamette Valley native plants stack up against those 4 species. What they do is they sit at a plot for 5 minutes and they record what comes and visits. They also use an insect vacuum to suck up all of the insects that are on those plants after the 5-minute observation period. And just some initial data. Here's our data from 2017. We have mean bee abundance per 1 meter squared plot. This comes from them sitting and observing the number of honeybees, the number of small bees, the number of bumblebees on each plant. 2017 was a very wet year, and that was the year that we installed the plants. So this graph can be subtitled, "The first year they sleep." And then the next graph I'm going to show you is the second year they creep. And then we're going to be really excited to see our 3rd year data, and the 3rd year hopefully they'll leap. But one thing that I do want to note is that our most attractive plants to bees were all native plants: Gilia capitata, Mattia, Doug aster, and goldenrod, which I know a lot of gardeners do not like goldenrod, but these were the 4 flowers that we found to be most attractive to bees in 2017. The first, Nepeta cattataria, which is called catmint or catnip, you hear it called both things, that was our 5th most attractive plant. Okay, so Erin just gave me this graph, it's very rough, of the 2018 visitation data. And so here we have mean bee abundance. If we compare the size of the y-axis on this graph to the graph before, we note that we actually have more bees are visiting plants in the 2nd year. So that's why I think it's the 1st year they sleep, the 2nd year they creep, and in the 3rd year we might even have more bee visits. Here we see a total flip of the most attractive plants. We still have Gilia capitata as the 2nd most attractive plant, but almost entirely to honeybees, whereas in 2017 it was most attractive to bumblebees. However, our most attractive plants in 2018 were oregano, number 1, Gilia, number 2, lavender, number 3, California poppy, number 4, and Nepeta or catmint, number 5. So the only 2 which are staying in the top 5 from year 1 to year 2 are Gilia and Nepeta. And I do want to give a shout out to lavender for a moment, because lavender was the plant that we found 2 species of vulnerable bee, which was really surprising. We weren't finding them on the natives, we were finding them on lavender. So I know that I'm coming towards the end, so I just want to give a couple of take-homes. Here are our top plants for 2017 in terms of bee visits from the native plant study. The first 4 most attractive were all native to the Willamette Valley. Nepeta, our 5th most attractive, is the non-native. Totally different in 2018, oregano, lavender, and Nepeta, all non-native, were in our most attractive plants. Our natives that were attractive remain Gilia, this very demure plant right here, and then California poppy. Here's a picture of our Nepeta that we have in our plots at Aurora. Now, we also ask gardeners to look at these plants in an online survey and rank them according to how attractive they're finding the plants to be. And one interesting thing is that you'll notice that none of our plants which were most attractive to bees were most attractive to gardeners, with the exception of Gilia. So Gilia seems to be kind of like the sweet spot where both the bees and the gardeners seem to like this plant. But if I were to actually line them up, which you actually have on the handout that I gave you, you'll notice that there's almost an inverse relationship between attractiveness to bees versus attractiveness to home gardeners. So we don't know if that's because gardeners don't know about the benefits of these native plants, or they just find them ugly, or sometimes with goldenrod they find them to be, they don't behave well in the garden. But we do think it is interesting that literally there is almost a total flip in what bees are finding most attractive to what gardeners are finding most attractive. I want to go over the table that I shared with you so that you can I'm just going to tell you how to read it. We're not going to go over it in detail. But I do list all of the plants that we studied in our native plant study. And then in the first column, they're ranked by how popular they were with different bees, with oregano being the most attractive in 2018, and milkweed being the 12th most attractive in 2018. If you're interested in seeing how attractive they were to honeybees, which are non-natives, versus our native bees, we actually have the number of visits per 5 minutes on average in these next columns. And then this column, which is the second to the right column, I have how attractive those plants were to the bees in 2017, just showing you that they're really Gilia was most attractive to bees in 2017, second most attractive in 2018. Oregano was 7th most attractive to bees in 2017, most attractive in 2018. And then here we have the gardeners' rankings of those plants. And here's where I show you that there's almost very little correlation between what gardeners are finding attractive and what bees are finding attractive.